p.m. in Douala, littoral region of the country. Ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to the 6 p.m. Prime News of Akamdis Television in the Queen's language. Here are the headlines. The Minister of Youth Affairs and Civic Education, Monona Foto, has officially launched the 6th edition of the Operation Civic and Patriotic School Holidays with theme Voluntary Youth Engagement for Meaningful Holidays Without COVID-19 at the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Civic Education. More with this as we begin the news. During this third term holiday period, some children have taken upon themselves to assist their parents by selling petty items along roadsides throughout the national territory. This in a bid to raise some money that will help in paying their school fees and buy some school furniture next academic year. The mayor of the Yaoundé city, Messi Atangana Luke, have signed decisions to intensify preparations ahead of the African Nations Cup to take place this 2021 in Cameroon. Amongst the decisions signed, the painting of buildings around the central town will be obligatory. More on this as we begin the news. Thanks for joining us. This is 6 p.m. news of Akamdis Television. We begin with this excerpt where the Minister of Finance, Louis Paul Motaze, has expressed himself over Cameroon's victory on the International Economic Plan during the budgetary orientation meeting this Tuesday at the Chamber of Commerce. Let's listen to the Minister of Finance, Louis Paul Motaze, in the following excerpt.
First of all, they were very happy with what the government has done last week in Paris as far as the Eurobond is concerned, and you have been congratulated by the parliamentarians. But I've told them that this is, they have done their part, because you can remember that before going to Paris, we had a very tight program here in the parliament, in both the Senate and the National Assembly. Now for the debates. I think the most important thing is that we don't come here to discuss about the budget of next year. It's what we call the general debate. That means that the parliamentarians now they participate more than before in the elaboration of the budget. And what we do is to let them know what are the orientations of the government, and they have to participate. They have to give their own ideas, their own contribution, and this is why we came for. That means that to take their contributions and to see how we can take them into consideration and to implement them in the budget when we will come here in November and December. The general idea of the government is that we want to get rid of coronavirus, and we hope that coronavirus will go in the past. And if it's so, we think that the economy will revamp. The economy will revamp because now we are expecting a rate of 3.4% exceed, and in 2020 perhaps we can go on 4% or 4.5%. We are a little bit optimistic, but we have to take into consideration the fact that coronavirus is still there, the security problems are still there, and so on. And also we are trying to monitor what is going on as far as the price of oil is concerned, because the countries of OPEC are gathering, they have meetings, but they have not yet reached the final solution. And this will have a great impact on what we are doing, because if there is a drop in the price of the fuel, it will have a consequence.
The Ministry of Youth Affairs have officially launched the 6th edition of the Operation Civic and Patriotic School Holidays this July at the Ministry of Civic Education in Yaoundé this day, attended by some stakeholders. The meeting, that is the launching ceremony, was presided by the Minister of Youth Affairs and Civic Education, Monona Foto. Ruth Fonyon was present during the launching ceremony and compiled this report for us.
Civic and Patriotic holiday is one of the components of the National for Civic Education and National Integration, launched in September 2015. It is a set of activities carried out within the framework of school holidays to promote healthy, educational and useful holidays through civic education and the promotion of living together. In the current context, this operation will consist of volunteer activities through community interest, work camps, the development of green spaces and reforestation among people on holiday about the prevention of COVID-19 during this period when the target is vulnerable.
That's why we think that during this context where the head of state has submitted to the parliament who voted the law on volunteering, we should that the moment came for the Cameroonian youth to engage themselves in this construction site voluntary to participate and face the challenges of our development.
With theme voluntary commitment for the environmental protection and the fight against COVID-19, the operation will take place throughout the country as from July 6th to August 31st, 2021. As part of the activity to grace the launching of this ceremony, there was a caravan to mobilize the youth population on the vaccination opportunity to overcome the coronavirus pandemic.
We call upon our mass animation teams, our community mediators, our leaders of the Cameroon National Youth Council, the conscripts of the National Civic Service Agency for Participation in Development, and all those actors, all those volunteers will deploy themselves in caravans all over the national territory to bear that message, to spread that message of fight against COVID-19 and protection of the environment.
The 6th edition of the Operation Civic and Patriotic Holidays will be structured around the official launch activities as well as awareness raising and volunteering activities. The launching ceremony was presided over by the Minister of Youth Affairs and Civic Education, Monona Futso, and saw the presence of the Minister of Health, the Minister of Women Empowerment and the Family, the Minister of Social Affairs, and other stakeholders. The occasion was graced with handing over of awareness kits made up of MC outfits, anti-COVID-19 kit, flyers, megaphones and booths to the Amapus, drama and musical comedy.
Cameroon has intensified preparations ahead of the African Nations Cup that is to take place in the country this 2021. The mayor of the city of Yaoundé, Messi Atanganalouk, has signed some decisions to give a befitting image to the town of Yaoundé. Amongst the decisions are the obligatory painting of all buildings around the central town. Details with Stephen Elangwe.
Released on June 29, 2021, the message of the mayor of the Yaoundé City Council is clear. All buildings on the main roads of the capital of Cameroon need to be painted in yellow or in white with deadline October 30, 2021. According to Messi Atanganalouk, all of such house owners need to proceed to a vindictive cleaning of their surroundings. With the aim of embellishing the capital city ahead of the largest football competition of the continent, Cameroon needs a new look, and Yaoundé in particular. The lining of clothes and other materials in front of buildings have equally been prohibited by the mayor. Buildings at the roadsides are called upon to be presenting and scintillating to the eyes of the visitors. Uncompleted buildings, unpainted houses, among others, will not be tolerated anymore in the central town of Yaoundé.
We now talk health, where Cameroon has joined the international community to commemorate the Zoonotic Disease Day. Zoonotic diseases, also known as zoonoses, are germs that are being spread from human beings to animals. In the following report, Geraldine Nasi tells us that these diseases could also be prevented and gives us some measures that all human beings have to put in place to avoid being contaminated. Let's listen to Geraldine Nasi in the following report.
Zoonotic diseases, also known as zoonosis, is one of the diseases that is making waves recently. These diseases are caused by germs that spread between animals and people. Animals provide many benefits to people as many people interact with animals in their daily lives. Animals equally provide food, livelihoods, companionship and education for people across the globe. But animals, however, can sometimes carry harmful germs that spread to people and cause illnesses.
Zoonosis can be classified as endemic zoonosis, as emerging zoonosis, as foodborne zoonosis. Endemic zoonosis are the zoonosis that we live with. We have zoonosis like tuberculosis, we have zoonosis like anthrax, we have rabies, which we live with. But the problem that we have, which is a major one, is that most of those diseases are not followed up. We don't have viable epidemiological data on these diseases, which is the challenge. That is why we are putting a focus on that.
Because of the close connection between people and animals, it is important to be aware of the common ways people can get infected with germs that can cause zoonotic diseases, as scientists estimate that more than 6 out of every 10 known infectious diseases in people can be spread from animals, and 3 out of every 4 emerging diseases in people come from animals.
Statistics on zoonosis show that 60% of all diseases, 60% of all known diseases come from animals, which means that they are zoonotic in nature. And then 75% of all emerging diseases, new diseases, are zoonotic diseases. That is well-held data on zoonosis. To sensitize all the stakeholders in this domain, the domain of animal health, environment, human health, to be more proactive in doing diagnosis of these diseases, and we call on research equally to be able to intensify their findings on these zoonotic diseases.
Nevertheless, to prevent an outbreak of the next pandemic, there are things to do to prevent the zoonotic diseases, such as washing of hands after being around animals and cleaning up animal waste, most especially if anyone is pregnant in the area.
The third-term holidays are finally out. Some parents have different views and ways of guiding these children to spend a wonderful holiday. According to some parents, it is a moment for them to travel back home in a bid to learn their culture and traditions, whereas others say it is a period for them to further their studies or get involved in some petty trades to enable them raise some money that are going to help to pay their school fees or buy their school furniture. This television took interest in this and went down in the city of Yaoundé and tried to catch up with to tell us how they plan the holidays for their children. Let's listen in the following report. Pupils and students are finally gone on holidays after a long and challenging academic year faced with the deadly coronavirus pandemic. To avoid unnecessary movements around the town, some parents think that the best option is to send their children to spend holidays in the villages.
I usually send my children in the village just for a short time, 2 weeks, 1 month, just to make the children feel relaxable, something like that. And then after that, they come back, they spend the rest of holiday with me. That is how I do. So now, I don't accept that the children should go and stroll and doing that type of job. It's not fair.
To other parents, holiday is a period for their children to further their studies or do a trade to help raise money to pay their school fees next academic year.
My children try to help me to pay their fees during the holidays. This is another one was just begin to sell these pineapples to manage to pay his fees
Here I do beat, I train children, I give them that knowledge. And also, I try to stop them from wandering around. Because most parents nowadays, they send their children to the street, they go and sell, you know. They try to look for their own school fees, which is not really what we want here for children.
I prevent them to Yaoundé with their classes, because if they go to the village, they'll forget many things.
Traveling agencies have become very busy and crowded lately as many parents are traveling to their villages, though some children can be seen carrying out some small businesses in and around the town. Guiding and accompanying these children positively during the holidays is all that matters. We continue with third-term holidays, where some children have taken upon themselves to help their parents by getting involved in selling some petty trades along the roadsides. Around Lonkak, a neighborhood in Yaoundé, these children can be seen running after vehicles in a bid to make their daily sales. Stephen Elangwe visited a part of the town and tries to paint a picture on how the activities are going on in that part. Let's listen to Stephen Elangwe in the following report.
They can be seen on the corners and the pedestrian trains of the road, going after vehicles in a bid to sell their petty goods. I started this petty business so as to garner money. First, my fees, you know. The activity is motivated by the holidays, but rather more or less motivated by the desire to meet up with the demands of school. The business is not that productive. What I mean is that the turnover is low. Sometimes I can sell 2,000. At a time like this, the young have the duty to assist their parents in any way they can. I sell bitter cola because I need money for my fees. An interesting activity worth encouraging are stuffs like bitter colas, biscuits, lettuce, face masks, and others help travelers and road users in different ways as journey companions.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is with that note on holidays that we draw the curtains of our English Prime News over Camdis television. We go right away with what makes headlines. The Minister of Youth and Civic Education, Monona Fuso, has officially launched the 6th edition of the Operation Civic and Patriotic School Holidays with the theme Voluntary Youth Engagements for Meaningful Holidays Without COVID-19 at the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Civic Education. During the third term holiday period, some children have taken upon themselves to assist their parents by selling some petty items around roadsides throughout the national territory. This in a bid to raise some money that will help in paying their school fees and buy some school furniture next academic year. The Mayor of Yaoundé City Council, Messi Atengene Luke, have signed a decision to intensify preparations ahead of the African Nations Cup to take place this 2020 in 2021 in Cameroon. Among the decision signs is the painting of buildings around the central town, which is obligatory. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. We want to say have a blessed evening in the company of our programs. See you tomorrow.